All right. All right. We in here. Praise to the Most High. Peace and blessings. Now let's get straight to it. So today we're going to go over the bride of Israel. And also we're going to talk about the covenant that the Most High made with the children of Israel. Originally, this was going to be Hosea 2 breakdown, but I had so much other things I wanted to cover before we got to Hosea 2. I wouldn't properly name it a Hosea 2 breakdown, but I'm just gonna call it the Bride of Israel. All right, I'll come up with another name. We'll see. But what I wanted to go into though is what last lesson we talked about the parable of the marriage feast here in Matthew 22, and there's certain precepts that we didn't get to show why Yahushua was likened into the son that had a marriage given unto him. All right, made a marriage for his son. But why was, and we established that that was the children of Israel that was being referred to here, that was bidden to the wedding, the servants. But why is that? You know, it's not a random parable that was given here. It's not like, you know, the symbology of a wedding and a marriage was used just because. There's a specific reason. Now we're going to prove it more in the scriptures here. So let's jump on in. Now I put this on the screen just so we can remember. We won't really need anything from Matthew 22. Let's start by establishing who Israel is and why she was likened into a bride. Let's get Zachariah chapter 9 and verse 9.
All right. It's the book of Zachariah, chapter 9 and verse 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, and upon a colt, the foal of an ass.
All right, so if you remember, this is referring to Yahushua. He's the one that, you know, rode upon the mule. All right, so this is not the point here, though. What I wanted to get to is rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. All right, Israel has always been likened into the daughter of Jerusalem, or a comely woman. All right, we're going to get this precept again, and, you know, we're going to have to get every time it applies. Let's get Jeremiah 6 and 2.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6 and verse 2, and it reads, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman.
All right, so now let's start to think about this now. Remember, we had the marriage parable, and we had a king, a certain king, which made a marriage for his son. All right, and in this parable, when you have a marriage, at least a righteous one, not here in Babylon, because you can get married to a doggone ape in this country, but in a righteous marriage, you have the marriage between a man and a woman, the bridegroom and the bride. All right, Israel is the bride. She's likened to a woman. All right, and that's going to make even more sense when we start talking about this covenant here and how she went into idolatry, or, well, that is idolatry, but more appropriately put, how Israel, the woman, went into adultery. All right, how she committed fornication. That's what I want to talk about today. All right, so let's do this breakdown again. We did this about 2 lessons ago to talk about the covenant. All right, the first covenant, and really both covenants. It's similar, but let's focus on the first covenant here so we can paint a picture of what's going on. I'm all leading somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this. All right, and by the way, since quote unquote Christmas just passed, I have some up here too. We're going to talk about that for a little and try to relate the scriptures with the worship of the gods that they worship on Christmas. All right, why we're not supposed to be doing it. But anyway, all right, let's get Exodus chapter 24 again.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 24 and verse 1. And he said unto Moses, come up unto the Lord, thou and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off.
All right, keep going.
And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him.
All right, so this is children of Israel gathering together. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 3, and Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the judgments. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all these words which the Lord hath said, we will do.
The last time we said this, when you know, in this country, when you become married, you say, I do. But this is a nation of people. So of course they said, we do. All the words which the Lord hath said, well, we do. They're making a covenant, all right, with the Most High and the children of Israel. All right, that's why you see the children of Israel likened into a woman, and then the Most High likened into a husband or the bridegroom and his son as well. All right, well, let's keep going.
Verse 4, and Moses wrote all the words of the Lord and rose up early in the morning and builded an altar under the hill and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
So that's who the first covenant was for the 12 tribes of Israel. That's who the second covenant is for, the 12 tribes of Israel. The New Testament is not about this first covenant being for the children of Israel. Now, the Most High just randomly changed his mind and was like, nah, I don't like them folks no more. Now it's for everybody. It's not so. All right, let's get let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Verse 5, and he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord.
Okay.
And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar.
All right, keep going.
And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord has said, we will do, and be obedient.
All right, keep on.
Verse 8, and Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold the blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words.
Okay. The blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Moses sprinkled this blood on the people because, again, that's how a marriage is sealed. That's how a covenant is sealed. Let's wrap this up talking about the covenant. We're gonna go back to Deuteronomy 22. Let's just start at verse 13.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22 and verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her.
Okay, so this is laws basically on marriage, how a man will conduct his wife if there was strife in between them for a specific purpose. So, all right, let's keep going.
Verse 14, and give occasion of speech against her and bring up an evil name upon her and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid.
All right, keep going.
Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate.
All right, let's get 16 and we'll go into it.
And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her.
Okay. So as you see, one thing here is our people used to have an hierarchy in order. You know, if you had problems and issues, you could take it to the elders. All right. Now we don't have that. For the most part, we got to take our problems to the so-called white man, which, you know, you almost leading yourself up to destruction every time in that case. But anyway, just showing you how much order that we had. But this is an issue.
Hello.
Con.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback off what you were saying. The elders were like judges. You know, it just made me think about, you know, we're in this don't judge me type of living, you know, as far as in society today. And, you know, just to kind of carry off what you were saying, that's why they brought the order, you know what I'm saying, in our nation, the elders. They went to them with the issues and they gave them counsel.
Con. And you couldn't disrespect them like we do today. You know, elder was a prized possession. Where is that in the law? In Exodus 22 and 28, thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. This is not referring to any pagan gods. The Most High is the only God. But you see the word exchange here for judges. Thou shalt not revile the judges, are gods. All right, they were, you know, men of esteem, just like the brother was going into. Great point. All right, so what we'll be getting into here, though, I took this woman, when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Now, this word here is written as maid, but really it's going into a virgin. If a man found a woman that was not a virgin, because most marriages at this time was between men and women that were virgins by both definitions, because a virgin can either mean a woman of marriageable age, like you see in the book of Isaiah 7 and 14. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. This is referring to, at this time, Isaiah's wife, and she had already had a child. So we know this definition cannot be a virgin, meaning a woman that has not had sexual intercourse. But either way, normally you had a woman of marriageable age, and she also had not had sexual intercourse before. But the point here is why I'm even going into all this. Again, tokens of virginity. That's what you called it when you had, if y'all remember, I can go into it again, but y'all probably remember. The point here is that you see here tokens of virginity, and you see here, I think this is Latin, if I'm not mistaken, but you see the word, you can kind of see the word hymen there. So likewise with Israel, when we had the sprinkling of the blood, it's the same thing, the same concept in a marriage when you have the sealing of the marriage with, you know, the hymen being busted, for lack of better terms there. All right, and that's why the blood was sprinkled on the people. And, you know, this is not, you know, something exclusive of us or anything like that. You know, on the left-hand side, you know, they actually make pacts with blood. You know, believe it or not, a lot of the entertainers and rappers, so on and so forth, you know, they make pacts and things of that nature with their own blood. I remember watching a show on Netflix. I believe my sister saw this show as well. It's called The Order. Man, it's one of the most wicked shows you ever see. They really out front with witchcraft and things of that nature. But every time they're about to put a spell on somebody, they cut their hands. What they call in witchcraft an incarnation or incarnation, some whatever it is. Y'all may know what I'm talking about. But that seals a covenant. All right. And so that's why Israel was likened here into a woman, and the Most High and his son likened into the bridegroom. All right. It wasn't random. It was made there, on purpose. And I'm going into all this so we'll know this is for the children of Israel. There was no other nation that had the blood sprinkled on them from the book of the covenant. All right. Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people. Where did we see Alexander the Greek commune with the Most High and sprinkle blood on the Greeks? You know what I'm saying? When did we see Pharaoh work directly with the Most High and sprinkle blood on the Egyptians? It didn't happen. All right. So, I seen a brother say that this marriage parable was referring to the other nations, and that's just not the case. No, this is reserved for the children of Israel. They're the only nation that, had the covenant, both first and second covenant. But let's get Deuteronomy chapter 5 and 1 and 2 real quick.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5 and verse 1. And Moses called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep them and do them.
And do them. I keep going.
The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb.
Make it a covenant, a marriage. Remember, a marriage is likened into a covenant. This is with all Israel. All right. And actually get verse 3 too.
Verse 3. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us who are all of us here alive this day.
All right. So if you are an Israelite, a so-called black man or woman, you are still a part of this covenant, whether you want to deal with that or not. Your forefathers already made the pact. It's already sealed. All right. Christ, which is one of your forefathers as well from the tribe of Judah, he already came and spilled his blood for you. Moses sprinkled the blood on the people for the first covenant, and the second covenant has already been initiated. So you're a part of this covenant as well. That's why you're going to be punished as such if you don't keep the statutes and judgments and commandments, so you can learn them, keep them, and do them. All right, we're all bound to this covenant, whether you want to deal with it or not. This is how that goes. All right, let's get stuff is interesting. It says the fertility of Zion, but anyway, let's get Isaiah chapter 54, and let's start at verse 4.
All right. The book of Isaiah, chapter 54 and verse 4, and it reads, Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shalt not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore.
Thy widowhood. All right, again, this is referring to the Israelites. All right, you become a widow, of course, when you're separated from your spouse. That's the same thing that happened with our people. Let's get verse 5.
Verse 5. For thy maker is thine husband. The Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth, shall he be called.
Read this first line again.
For thy maker is thine husband.
Thy maker is thine husband. You see? The Holy One of Israel. This is referring to the Israelites. Matthew 22 cannot be referring to other nations. When did the Most High ever declare him being the husband of any other nation? All right, the Lord of hosts is his name, the hosts being the angels, the Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. All right, so actually, let's get verse 6 too.
Verse 6. For the Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth, when thou wast refused, saith the Lord, saith thy God.
So you see here, Israel became married to the Most High, who then this marriage is symbolically given to Yahushua, and this is a parable used here, or this is in symbolic form, a husband and a wife, because of the covenant that was established between our people and the Most High. Let's get Isaiah 62:5.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 62 and verse 5. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall the Most High rejoice over thee.
So as a young man married a virgin, remember we talked about that. Most of the women were virgins at that time. So shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall the Most High rejoice over thee. All right. And that's another reason why the symbology is used. All right. Because it's not a husband, a leader, a protector, a provider. That's what the Most High is to the children of Israel. All right. We've seen as the apple of his eye, the chosen people. All right. So that's why this is used. It wasn't random in Matthew 22. When Christ said those words, it wasn't random. He didn't just pick a wife or a marriage in a parabolic form for no reason. But when you don't have the understanding of the so-called Old Testament, you'll read this and then you just, you think this is random and think this for everybody else. And it's just not the case. It's not the case. All right. And really quickly, why, and we went over this before, but we'll get it real quick again. I already got it pulled up. Why this marriage was given to his son. All right. One time here, you'll see that, like, for example, in Isaiah 54 here, you'll see, for thy maker is thine husband. And in Matthew 22, you see this marriage was for his son. The reason why is because Yahushua, or Christ, was appointed heir of the children of Israel. Let's get Hebrews. Let's get straight to the point 1 and 2.
All right. The book of Hebrews, chapter 1 and verse 2, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds.
So Yahushua made the worlds. He made all things visible and invisible, pursuant to Colossians, the first chapter. All right, so he also was appointed heir of all things and given judgment from the Most High, and he inherited the children of Israel as well, because he's going to be the king. All right, that's why Revelation 19, I believe we got that pulled up, he's labeled as the King of Kings. All right, in the Alpha and Omega. In general speaking, the Most High is the Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. All right. But of course, Christ was appointed heir, so he is the beginning and the end as well. All right, let's get Revelation chapter 19. Let's start at verse 6.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 6. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of mighty thundering, saying, Hallelujah, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth.
Absolute. Let's get the next verse.
Verse 7, let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready.
All right, the marriage of the Lamb has come. Marriage of the Lamb. We see this saying, who is the Lamb? That's Yahushua, that's Christ. So we see in this same parable being used again. This is not literal. There's not going to be a lamb, walking down the aisle, getting ready to marry a wife, making herself ready. This is referring to Yahushua and the children of Israel. When the wife have made herself ready, we got that in Deuteronomy chapter 5. The wife making herself ready is the children of Israel hearing the statute, laws, and commandments, and learning them and keeping them and doing them. That's preparing. That's getting yourself ready, because there's going to be nothing but righteousness in the kingdom. All right. Number righteousness in the kingdom. So therefore, to prepare for the kingdom, you have to be righteous, correct? You have to be preparing, because you won't be able to go off. You won't have wicked thoughts. All right. To be proven worthy, you got to be getting ready right now. All right. And that's what, Lord willing, we doing right now. And we strive to do every day. We're that wife making herself ready for this great wedding that's going to take place. All right. You can keep going.
Verse 8. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white. For the fine linen is the righteousness of saints.
See, they tell you right here in the same verse what this fine linen is referring to. You don't even have to go look for it. All right. The fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. The saints are the children of Israel. We pull that precept also as well many times, but we'll pull as many times as we got to just to prove the point. But that's what that means, to be arrayed in fine linen, to be righteous. So making yourself ready is making yourself righteous. How do you make yourself righteous? You have to keep the statute, laws, and commandments of the Most High. That's the only way, because sin is the transgression of the law. All right. So if you transgress in the law, you're not getting yourself ready. Matter of fact, you are, in a sense, you're getting yourself ready for the lake of fire, but you're not getting yourself ready for this marriage here. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 9. And he said unto me, right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, these are the true sayings of the Most High.
You see that? Blessed are they which are called into the marriage supper of the Lamb, of Yahweh, that unblemished Lamb. He said unto me, these are the true sayings of the Most High. There's no other way around this. All right, you can't think yourself through this. You can't go by your own doctrine or what you think is right or wrong. All right, there's plenty of people, thousands, millions of people that think they are good people, and they are, from a worldly standpoint, they are good people. But according to the Most High, they're wicked. That's the thing, because what we see as righteous is not righteous to the Most High all the time. All right, you have to go by His word. You got to listen to what He says is righteous, not by what your own ego tells you is right or wrong. All right, something simple as doing harm to somebody physically or something like that is obviously something you can discern, but that's not always something you can discern by yourself. All right, lean not only upon your own understanding, right? So let's finish it out with verse 10.
Verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, worship the Most High. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy.
Whew, okay. So, this is what you got to do, man. All right. You got to have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is the word. So if you're not going according to the word, how can you have the testimony? How can you come to the door, which is Christ? How can you, if you're not following the word? Not based off of what you think is right, what everybody else is doing in a quote unquote church. You got to go according to the word, man. All right, we got the parable of the 10 virgins here. Just to pick back up on the concept of the virgin and the bride and the bridegroom. We're not going to break it all the way down. We're just going to get the first few verses here. Let's get Matthew 25:1.
The book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom.
All right. So again, we see the same concept. the bridegroom, the man, and a virgin, all right, establishing a covenant. That's what the kingdom of heaven is likened unto. Why does it say a virgin? This does not mean, and this is not referring to just women. This is parabolic. This is the children of Israel. Like when we read here in Jeremiah 6:2, I've likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. That's just what's used symbolically to make us relate to it in our spirit. But this is referring to men and women of the children of Israel. All right, so when we read here the 10 virgins, this is referring to those that are undefiled. How are you undefiled? You got to be that delicate and comely woman that's only married unto one bridegroom. All right. So that's what makes you a virgin if you're undefiled. This is not referring to whether you've had sexual intercourse or not, because there's nothing wicked about that. Once, of course, you're in a righteous arrangement with the Most High, through the Most High, a righteous marriage. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. So it's not referring to a literal virgin. It's referring to the men and women of the children of Israel that are undefiled with other doctrines, all right, with other philosophies of the world. Because when you do that, we about to get into that though. So I'll save it. I'll save it. We already got the point. I was going to get John 3:29, but we got the point. So let's get Hosea. And this is what I originally was going to, but I wanted to build all the way up. So it's almost not fit to say it's Hosea chapter 2. But let's go ahead and start Hosea chapter 2, verse 1.
Book of Hosea, chapter 2 and verse 1. Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, how you say that?
I would say Ami.
Ami, and to your sisters, Rahuma.
All right, read verse 2.
Plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts.
Okay, to understand Hosea chapter 2, we have to get Hosea chapter 1. Because right here you see ye, say, it's like it's say ye unto your brethren, Ami unto your sisters, Ruhama. You probably won't know exactly what's going on unless we get to Hosea chapter 2. Let's start at verse 2 right here.
Book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 2. The beginning of the word of the Lord by Hosea. And the Lord said to Hosea, go, take unto thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from the Lord.
So yes, you heard correctly or read correctly. The prophet Hosea was given commandment by the Most High to literally take a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms, because the land hath committed great whoredom. Now you see that even the land can commit whoredom. All right, that's why you had the Pentecost, and also you had every 7 years the rest, because the land needs rest as well. The land can be, it can be in whoredom as well. All right, the land needs rest as well. But anyway, this was symbolic for the children of Israel. So again, Hosea literally took on a harlot as a wife, literally. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 3. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son.
So Gomer was his wife. All right, conceived and bare him a son. Keep going.
And the Lord said unto him, call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and I will cause to seize the kingdom of the house of Israel.
So this is what we read about in the New Testament. It's about the house of Israel, the kingdom of the house of Israel, the northern kingdom, coming back into fruition. All right, because the Most High caused them to cease. All right, and went to all these different nations, and they weren't even getting the word. A lot of them, they really had no idea who they were at all, the Northern Kingdom, for years and years, 600-700 years or so. That's a long time not knowing what's going on with you, just like our people. We were here in America and we had no idea, who our forefathers were, what we were supposed to be doing, what's righteous, what's not, who our God is, what we're supposed to be eating, how we supposed to communicate with each other, how we supposed to treat each other. All right. Who our Lord and Savior is. We didn't know any of that. And that's what happened with the Northern Kingdom. That's a aside, but let's skip actually to verse 6.
Verse 6, and she conceived again and bare a daughter. And God said unto him, call her name Laruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away.
All right, so when you see, now look at here, Ruhamah, just like in chapter 2, Ruhamah. But you notice this difference here is that you see a low in front of it. So when you see that word low, it means no or not. Just like this is a modern Hebrew. If it sounds too complicated, don't worry about it. Brothers will know what I'm talking about here. But the modern Hebrew is low. And of course, the Paleo Hebrew word for this would be la'ah. So if you wanted to make a word say no or not, you would put a low in the modern and la'ah in the Paleo Hebrew. And we're going to talk about what those words mean in just a second. Keep going.
Verse 7, but I will have mercy upon the house of Judah and will save them by the Lord their God, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen.
All right.
Now when she had weaned Laruhamah, she conceived and bare a son.
All right.
Then said the Most High, call his name Laomi, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your God.
Okay, so that's what's going on here in Hosea chapter 2, verse 1. See, these children here, the names of these children, they're women, not women, children of whoredoms from Hosea's wife, Gomer, that the Most High told him to take. And this is all symbolic for the children of Israel. So this all goes back to the marriage, because now we're going into why Israel was not a faithful wife. All right, she was supposed to be a delicate and comely woman, what a lot of times we call today, bad or fine, or even a little bit more moderate, beautiful, gorgeous, well put together, classy, a lady. All right, that's what Israel was supposed to be. This is all symbolic, referring to how grand of a woman she was, or how great our people are. All right. So now let's go back. Now that we got the understanding of what was going on, read verse 1 and 2 again. You can go straight to it, 1 and 2.
The book of Hosea, chapter 2 and verse 1. Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sister, Rahumah, plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts.
All right, so this is symbolic. So the Most High had Hosea, the prophet Hosea, have children just so, and I want to put the word just, but for one reason, to be an end symbol for the children of Israel. So this means nation or people. Ami means persons, members of one people. countrymen, kinsmen, kindred. But we saw here in verse 1, Ami said, ye are not my people. Lo Ami, no or not means you are not my people. And I will not be your God. But you see here that it's switched up in verse 1. It's without the lo, it's without the no. So this is the Most High already saying, he's going to have mercy on his people. Like we see here in verse 10, ye are not my people, there shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God. All right, so this all goes back to the marriage parable as well. All right, now look at what extent the Most High went to show symbolism for the children of Israel. Who else did he do this for? Again, did you see the Egyptians have any of this going on? The Canaanites, any of these other nations? All right, no. So when it says plead with your mother, it's referring to Hosea's wife, because it says to your sisters and to your brethren. Literally Hosea's wife, but also the Most High in certain scriptures he's likened it to not a mother in a sense, but a nurturer like a mother is. For she is not my wife. You see, when we broke the commandments of the Most High, we became divorced. We established this covenant. Moses sprinkled the blood on the people. Most High said that, here in Isaiah 54, for thy maker is thine husband. We had the covenant established, but we went to other lovers, like we see here in Hosea 2. All right, let's get verse 3.
Book of Hosea, chapter 2 and verse 3. Lest I strip her naked and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst.
Keep going.
And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms.
So that's referring to the offspring. All right, that's referring to us. We basically the child of whoredom because our forefathers were in adultery symbolically. Again, you have a wife that's supposed to be one bridegroom. She's supposed to be in a covenant with the Most High. What's a covenant with the Most High? Keeping the statute, laws, and commandments that we promised we would back here in Exodus chapter 24. Back when we said we do, we heard all the words of the Most High. This is how you remain faithful. If not, you in adultery, spiritually speaking, all right, which is fornication. All right, let's get Ezekiel chapter 16. This chapter is deep, man. It covers like everything that we talked about. We may have to do that next lesson because it's deep, man. It's a lot of verses in this thing too. Let's get Ezekiel chapter 16 and 8.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 16 and verse 8. Now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, thy time was the time of love. And I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant with thee, saith the Lord God, and thou becamest mine.
Thou becamest mine. Of all nations of people, we became the Most High's. All right. We read that. Again, in Isaiah chapter 54 and 5. We established that covenant, but we end up going off. So how did Israel go off? Okay, and that's what we about to talk about. Let's get verse 15.
Verse 15. But thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and playedest the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on everyone that passes by. His it was.
Now, who that sound like? That sound like a harlot to me. What we call today a whore, for the lack of a better term. Everyone that passes by, everyone that try to holler at you, you know, you lay down with them. His it was. Everyone that passed by, there you can have it. That's what we did as a nation of people. Every land we went into, we worshiped their gods. We took on their ideologies. All right, like homosexuality. All right, and sacrificing our kids through the fire. Those are some of the things that we did. Matter of fact, we're gonna go directly into some of the things that we did, but that's how we played the harlot. Because of our renown, we were known by all nations of people to be God's chosen people. But we played the harlot. We didn't want to just stay with our husband. All right, we played the harlot. We, we laid down with every man symbolically. All right, don't take it too literal. When I say these terms, just portraying what the scriptures say. Don't take it too literal. But that's what we did, spiritually speaking. All right, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we're gonna run through it. 7, 1 through 3.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 1, and it reads, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Gershishites and the Amorites. Say it again.
You pretty much had it.
Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Why does it say 7 nations greater and mightier than thou? Because if you know anything about, first of all, these are what we would call today, most of these nations here are what we would call today Africans. And a lot of them are in East Africa. And if you know anything about a lot of the Kenyans and the quote unquote Africans in Uganda, so on and so forth, they are tall. They're giants compared to most people. All right. They're men and women. It's not uncommon for them to grow to be 6'7", 7'1", 7'5". That's why you see a lot of the super tall men in the NBA are quote unquote African, like Mutombo. What's that? Yeah, both of the Bowl, Manute Bowl. Yeah. There's another cat. I don't know if he's still a player or not, but yeah, he from over that way. That's why it says 7 nations greater and mightier than now, by stature wise. And also, when you read about these Canaanites, man, the Canaanites ruled for a long time. They called them in history the Phoenicians. All right, that's a whole nother story, but either way, that's what this is referring to. But what did we do? We were supposed to cast these nations out. All right, but what do we do? Keep going.
Verse 2, and when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
God, we're not going into what what we did yet. But point is, though, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to make any covenants with them or show mercy unto them. By no covenant, you're not supposed to be communicating with them from a standpoint of taking on their ideologies and their practices. Okay, it's the same way here. You think about America, St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day. Just think about if you moved over here and somebody was like, hey, you want to keep Thanksgiving? You want to celebrate Groundhog Day and all these different random pagan holidays, New Year? All right, it's the same concept. All right, matter of fact, most of the things I just mentioned were around at this time. Believe it or not, over 2,000 years ago, a lot of the things that go on today, they were still going on. I mean, they were going on back then. They're still going on today. They just repackage it to something else to make it look friendly. All right, that's all it is. They put wicked things and put a little cartoon face on it. That's all it is. All right, Santa, that's based off a demon, the Oak King and the Holly King. Every part of Christmas is wicked. Every single, the mistletoe, every part of it, the Christmas tree, all of it, all pagan, all wicked, all Luciferian, all satanic images that the Most High told us not to deal with. All right. But I said we would talk about Christmas, so let's go ahead and jump into that. We getting a little short on time. Let's get Judges 2:11 through 13.
God. It's the book of Judges, chapter 2 and verse 11. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Balaam.
Yeah. All right, come on.
And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger.
This is when you stepping out on your lover, which is supposed to be the Most High, symbolically speaking, which brought them out the land of Egypt. This is the Most High, and followed other gods. Keeping Christmas, New Year, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. That's following other gods, the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them. I know it doesn't seem like that because, you know, you got a turkey that you slice down the middle and, you know, cranberry sauce and all that. I know it doesn't seem to be that way. I know the intention is not to follow the gods, but I promise you that's exactly what you're doing when you partake in those different type of ancient festivals that's been repackaged. All right, keep going.
Verse 13. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtoreth.
So what I want y'all to know about this is I picked this verse because it put both of these guys in one verse. Now let's go into them. First, let's talk about this first one we saw. Well, the second one here, Ashtaroth. Ashtaroth equals star. False goddess in the Canaanite religion, usually related to fertility cult. This word star, do you understand that this is exactly why you put a star on top of a Christmas tree? It represents this false goddess, this Canaanite god, all right, that's been repackaged into many, many different forms. Have you ever heard of the goddess Venus, Aphrodite, Athena? These are all repackaged from the same concept of Asherah, or in Egypt, they called her Ishtar. You see, there's a star in there. All right, that's why you have the Eastern stars. It's representation of this same goddess. Why am I bringing all this up? Because everything you see in the Bible still holds relevance today. All of the pagan gods that you see, they're still being worshiped today. This is not an old book. This book is alive. People are still serving Baal or just Baal. Both pronunciations work, but they're still serving Baal and Asheroth today. I promise you, this is exactly where the Eastern stars come from. It's in reference to the Zachariah star. I didn't pull that up, but if you just Google Zachariah star, you'll see it's the star in the east. It's the brightest star in the sky. And they used to worship that. They used to be able to see that in ancient times, and they made goddesses out of that. All right. Again, this is and Easter, another form of this god, is her name is literally Easter or Estada. It's the same concept. That's where Easter comes from, the worship of this goddess. Now, Baal or Baal, which means Lord, supreme male divinity of the Phoenicians. Whether you believe it or not, now it's going to sound a little rough, but it's just the truth. This is the God of the Christian church. All right. That's why you have crosses in there, and you don't see anything in the Bible telling you to, wear a gold cross on you or get it tattooed and put it all over your church. This is for Baal. All right. But I had some pulled up for Christmas. So let's get that. Let's get that. All right. Read this first. Let me see if I can zoom this up. Read this first paragraph right here.
Okay. Two key figures in the origin of Christmas are Nimrod, a great-grandson of Noah, and his mother and wife, Semiramis, also known as Ishtar and Isis.
This is the exact same guy we just read about. It's no different. They're given different names because different cultures of people worship them. They just named them something different. All right. A lot like Zeus and who else? I'm gonna say Hercules, but Hercules is actually based off of Samson. All these Roman gods and Greek gods and things of that nature, they're all taken from Egypt and repackaged and worshipped by different people. Hopefully this makes sense. I don't want to lose y'all with talking about this stuff, but I just want to make it relate to today so we understand that there's nothing new under the sun. All right, all pagan worship, it's been going on since the beginning of time, since the times of Adam, all the way until today, and will continue until Yahushua comes back and destroys all that nonsense. All right, it's still going to be here, and it's very prevalent, whether people know it or not. And there's more and more people that's coming out, especially women, that's coming out and, they being upfront with it. They know who they worship, and they know they worship in Ishtar and Isis and Baal, and they cool with it. All right, we keep on.
Good. Nimrod, known in Egypt as Osiris, was the founder of the first world empire at Babel, later known as Babylon.
Salak, this is who founded Babylon. Nimrod, the great hunter, as the scriptures called him. All right, he was a man that was worshipped, in ancient times. Now let's see. Again, and you see here the origin of Christmas or Nimrod. Don't sleep on that. And this is well documented too, by the way. This epic of Gilgamesh, and there's also another resource, the two Babylons, that put you on all this stuff. All right. Let's start here. Let's read after Nimrod's death.
After Nimrod's death, 2167 BC, Semiramis promoted the belief that he was a god. She claimed that she saw a full-grown evergreen tree spring out of the roots of a dead tree stump.
Slot. A full-grown evergreen tree spring out of the roots. What that sound like? This is, I'm telling you, man, when you look into it, none of the things that you see is new. I promise you that. The evergreen tree is being worshipped for over 2,000 years. That's when you put that tree in there, you putting that tree in there for Nimrod, whether you know it or not. All right. And don't sleep on this too. Nimrod, his mother and his wife, Semiramis. Semiramis was his wife, but was his mother. That's how sick this dude was, man. He was quote unquote what we call African today, and what the scriptures call a Hamite. These same nations of people that we saw in Deuteronomy 7, he was a descendant of the Canaanites, essentially, which the Canaanites, when you do research on them and how they moved, let's see, Canaanite, zealous, descendant of the inhabitant of Canaan, descendant of inhabitant of Canaan, a merchant or trader. Remember, I said these were Africans, right? Standing neighbors to Ishmaelites, merchant, trafficker. Do they not call a lot of the nations in West Africa, like the Nigerians, do they not call them merchants and traders? You got to connect this stuff, man. But anyway. All right. What other part did we have in here about Christmas? All right, let's start right here.
During the time between Babel and Christ, pagans developed the belief that the days grew shorter in early winter because their sun god was leaving them.
Okay, that's for Sunday worship. When you go to church on Sunday, you giving reverence to the sun god, whether you know it or not. All right, keep going.
When they saw the length of the day increasing, they celebrated by riotous, unrestrained feasting and orgies. This celebration, known as Saturnalia, was named after Saturn, another name for Nimrod.
That's Christmas, is the Saturnalia. All right, Rome used to be called Saturnia. That was his original name, was Saturnia. All right, but point is though, when you keep Christmas, your intentions is not to worship Nimrod, but that's exactly what they got you doing. The so-called white man is extremely crafty. He rarely can tell you things up front. He just like to force you to do things without you knowing exactly what's going on. And then he'll spring it up on you later and act like, he told you, or he was just innocent the whole time. All right, because eventually the day is going to come when everybody is going to know that Christmas is a pagan festival. You're going to know it. It's going to be out. Everybody's going to know it, and you're going to have to make the choice from there whether you're going to continue to keep it or not. And a lot of people will. They're going to continue to keep it. Lord's will, no one hearing this will do so. But it's all, it's up to you at the end of the day. But I would encourage to not do so. All right. And I think there was one other thing I wanted to get on here. Bible compares God's people frequently to linking Satan with goats. Yeah. Why is that big right there, yo? Chill. I can't even see. All right. So read that real quick. This beginning part right here.
Pan can be traced to the Phoenician sun god Baal.
See, Pan can be traced to the Phoenician sun god Baal or Baal. Why is that? Because all these guys are just really all the same things, just with a different name. Because again, if it's not the Most High, it don't matter. People be trying to make distinctions. Well, Baal is this and Pan is this. It don't really matter. All right, you're not the Most High. You're nothing. The idol is nothing. All right. So why did I bring that up? Because Pan is a god that's worshipped very heavily in this society. Where do you think Peter Pan came from? It came from this guy named Pan, which was half man, half goat. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can find it on YouTube. Oh shoot! Oh yeah, cool. did they call it Playful Pan? Yeah, Playful Pan. So this is Disney. Could y'all hear that?
Negative.
All right, okay, cool. Either way, we see this is a Disney film, Walt Disney. They got this Playful Pan, as a cartoon. Now you see this? This is exactly, I should have kept that link up. This is a quote unquote playful version or a cartoon version of a pagan god, Pan. It's the exact same deity. So when you read this in the scriptures, they serve Baal and Asheroth. This is the exact same thing that these people worship today, especially the so-called white man. All right, because they don't have gods. The Most High, the children of Israel, we are the Most High's chosen. All right, and only chosen people. Therefore, the other nations don't have gods. So they choose to make up their own and worship them. But you see that's on a children's cartoon, man. They trying to get our children to worship these gods subconsciously. You see that? And again, Peter Pan comes from the god Pan. Matter of fact, that deity, quote unquote deity, because it's not really deity, but that pagan god is actually he's part of a lot of different worship systems. If we went even deeper into it, but the reason I went into all this though, Christmas just passed by, and I just want to make a few connections here. So when you see Baal, Pan, it's all in the worship of Nimrod, and this is not something somebody just made up. This is well documented history of the evergreen tree being worshipped. That is the origins of Christmas. Take it or leave it. That's just the truth. And Valentine's Day, all these different things are all pagan, repackaged to make you think it's all good, but it's really not. And if you want to keep the Most High first and serve Him with all your heart, mind, and soul, you'll stay far away from these things. All right, because a man cannot have two masters. Yahweh Shah said that. All right, so we don't want to be involved with this, and we have to forsake these things because they're not of the Most High. That's why it's not in the scriptures. But I just want to show also as well, Israel, that's how we went off to other lovers, as Hosea chapter 2 said. For she said, I will go after other lovers. After my lovers. That's what this is referring to, man. She will fall after her lovers. That's worshiping Baal, Asheroth, Ishtar, Pan, so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it, unless brothers want to add something. Con. All right, then with that I yield.